4 creatures. We have done all the creatures all in one big tier list, and then we are actually breaking it down to each one. We have done the first 3. We are on 4 now. We've also done a towns tier list, so be sure to check out all of those. They will all be linked in the description below and in the playlist. But let me know down in the comments where you guys would place your favorite and least favorite tier 4 creatures here, and do not forget to like and subscribe, and let us get started. I think mages here, we're gonna go like this. I usually use this one. I don't remember exactly why, to be honest, but biggest downside to mages is just their natural shot can damage and or hurt your own units, so you have to be careful with that. But other than that, mages are very, very devastating with their fireballs and any other casting that they do. They're definitely a high damage backline. They're pretty weak and definitely not too hard to kill, but the damage output that they can cause if go unchecked is very, very massive for sure. So take care of them, absolutely. We'll honestly kind of match this a little, actually exactly, with the vampires here. Basic vampires pretty good, being able to go super initiative pretty much anywhere in the battlefield for the most part. Pretty good amount of damage, not the most defensive unit at all, but still good. Honestly, again, I kind of forget what this upgraded version does because I always use the other one, because I know this one does not have lifesteal, or it doesn't have the option for no retaliation like this one. I forget which one it is. But either way, vampire is one of the best tier, one of the best tier 4s in the game, definitely one of the higher end units in the whole game, just because of the amount of damage they can do and the lifesteal that it gains if it has lost any health. Is a very hard unit to deal with, because he just constantly there doing high damage and essentially gaining his health back that you have done to him. Especially also some units in the game for sure get a little bit of a buff, much like the vampires here, because you can choose the vampire, I believe it's princess or lord or whoever, so you can buff them even more if you do choose that hero, so you definitely have to keep that in mind as well. Now the brawlers here, I think they're just pretty mid. I would say they're arguably one of the worst tier 4 units in the game. I don't feel like they're very anything. They just feel very mid and balanced. They're not super attack heavy. They can do some pretty decent damage, but they're also not super defensive, but still they're decently tough. They're not like weak, but they're very mid. They're very just decent, but definitely not that great of a tier 4. I'm choosing mages, vamps, druids, succubus over brawlers any day. Now druids, honestly, I think I gotta put stock druid in A and then the other 2 up in S. I think druids are one of the most devastating units in the game. The amount of damage they can do with their basic attack plus their lightning strikes or just casting other spells is massive, and they're honestly pretty defensive. They have a lot of hit points and health points, more than a lot of, well, I would say more than any backline unit, honestly, but definitely more than a lot of tier 4s as well. They're pretty tough for a backline unit, especially as a tier 4, but the amount of damage output that they can do is also just super devastating. They're definitely a very, very strong tier 4 unit, and definitely one of Sylvan's carries for sure. Succubus. We'll go kind of basic here, maybe more like this. I think while their damage isn't so directed at one target, just the fact that they can hit multiple is definitely what makes them so good. And if anybody attacks her at range, she retaliates. So that's a huge benefit like no other creature in the whole game that definitely carries her. I wouldn't say, she's not going to massively do damage, like a Druid Lightning Strike or a Mage Fireball, or even, for some other backline references, like if a Hunter shot that person, her damage output against that one person is not going to be as devastating as these other units, but the chain reaction that she gets, I would say essentially can equal that amount to lessen the hit points of almost every single target on the enemy team constantly is massive. And if you try to attack her from a distance, she's just going to retaliate, and that just can definitely be much more devastating than if you just... The only way to really beat her well is to have a melee unit in her face. That's really the only thing you can do against her. She's definitely one of the stronger units in the entire game for sure, just for overall destruction and devastation. But as a single target attack, definitely not up there. Shamans, I'm honestly just going to put all of them in B. Definitely not a super strong unit. It is a caster, but it's only, I think, slow or haste, really. I do think they are definitely decent with the amount of damage and defense that they have, but... Excuse me, I thought I was gonna sneeze. But they're very mid. I think they have just very mid amount of attack and defense, and their only real benefit, I would say, is the fact that they can cast and hasten slow, maybe their carry or your own as stronghold. So it's just kind of more your choice, but they're not super, if I'm choosing a tier 4, they're definitely on the lower end for sure. But they're not bad, they're just super, super mid. That's just my opinion of them. Griffins here. Honestly, we'll kind of go in this normal fashion here. We'll give them an S with this upgrade just because, you take away that person for a long time, it comes down and destroys whoever you put it on. So it either forces that person to move, more than likely their backline unit, and waste a turn there, or take that pretty devastating hit. Same with this one, but I think it's a little bit worse from what I remember. I think it's actually in a line compared to just the person, if I remember right, or something of that. They're not bad, but that is definitely a 100% what carries them to S and A tier. Other than that, I would definitely drop them down at least a tier each, for sure. But they can be devastating if, if they get their turn off first and go up in the sky, or, you don't move the person who you think that they dove on, or, you essentially let them keep doing it and don't really ever go after them. So they can be strong, but they can definitely be dealt with, not too devastating. And then we have the Grim Raiders here. Basic one I will still give to B just because of the amount of initiative and movement that they have. While the damage isn't massive, I am going to put... Honestly, I think I have to put both of them in S. It's so beneficial to move these guys around because with this one, if you're moving them around, as he's moving, he's doing damage to whoever he passes by, which is awesome. And anytime I don't know if it's both of them, but minimum it's this one. If someone else on your dungeon team or whoever, if you just have them, attacks a unit and this Grim Raider is by them, it will also attack the unit as well. So getting that extra amount of damage output is huge, and can definitely be super devastating but super beneficial to your team to have these guys out and about and next to other targets that are being melee hit. So that is where I'd place all my tier 4. Here's a Might and Magic Tribes of the East units, creatures, whatever you'd like to call them. Let me know down in the comments where you guys would place any and all of these units. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out all my other Heroes tier lists, whether it's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. All of them grouped as one, which I'm sure is actually probably different than all of these tier lists. And the towns as well, and check out all my other content and tier lists as well. We'll see you in the next one though.